Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Jacobo Toll. I'm the CEO and founder of Nahmi. And I'm here today to talk about state pools, which is our technology and one of the multiple ways that we think can be used to improve rollups. First of all, I need to tell you a little bit about ourselves because we are kind of the unknown player in this conference. I think it will also help you to, or it will help me to set your mind when it comes down to the reasons why we're scaling Ethereum the way we're doing it. So about us, so we're a 14-year-old company. We had a very different business before. We're doing content aggregation. And within content aggregation, we were, and distribution, by the way, we were serving 50 million users a day. Those users came from companies like Mozilla, Panasonic, Alcatel, Xiaomi, and so forth. And approximately around year 2016, we thought that we knew quite a bit about content, and we wanted to find new ways to monetize it. Then is when we started looking at this technology called blockchain, and we wanted to build a micro payment services for content. Within it, we realized that Ethereum was, of course, not fit for purpose, and we needed to find scaling. So the rest of the history will come in a second. In terms of the company, we're about 30 of us, and we are scattered all over the planet. And when it comes down to the scaling is when we met with the guys at Plasma. I think it was in October 2017 in Thailand. We agreed with them we're going to be using Plasma. And we got tired of waiting. I think it was on December 30th or 31st, 2017, after over 4 months of waiting and realizing the Plasma was not coming, we decided to build Nahmi. So back in January 2018, we started building Nahmi. And we started, first of all, doing a decent analysis of the existing scaling challenges, based mostly on our needs. And our needs consisted on having instant finality, having high throughput, and of course, being able to offer predictable costs of those transactions. The result of our analysis indicated that Plasma was definitely not fit for scaling and that it had several issues. And in fact, for example, the finality at Plasma was not instant. The fees were variable, which immediately meant that no commercial company would ever be able to adopt a technology like that. And in terms of latency as well, we needed something that was going to be done. When done, was going to be done. Now, our conclusions of the analysis we did was that Rollups was going to inherit absolutely all the same problems as Plasma. Consequently, our humble opinion was that for the use cases we wanted to apply scaling to, Plasma or Rollups was not going to cut it. Now, I know that is a little bit of an unpopular opinion here, considering that most of the scaling in these rooms today is about rollups. But that's a bit of a fallacy, and hopefully we'll get to the point of it. Now, so what we did back in 2018 then was we got all ourselves locked up in a room for a few months, and we started designing a new technology called state pools, which is what we'll talk about in a second. And now, we can comfortably say we were one of the very first layer 2s that ever existed. So we have been on mainnet since, I think it was November 2018. Only supporting payments though, that was Nahmi 1.0. We have processed ever since about $350 million worth of payments. And at some point we had a peak TVL of $500 million. Now, the reason why we built Nahmi the way we built it was because we needed, or we understood that the scaling was way more than just EPS. And that is a topic, by the way, that we can talk at length if you guys want to, mostly because on itself, again, it's just yet another fallacy. So there are thousands of use cases out there in the commercial world where TPS is important, but what you need the most is have no latency, have instant finality, and most importantly, have predictable fees. One of the things we don't do, unlike rollups, is we don't do the operator commits back to the base layer, and that is what allows us to have those properties. Now, in terms of the technology that we have built, it's called state pools. And the reason behind what we build it this way is because some of the team members that has been with us for a long time have been involved in blockchain since back in 2011. They have also been involved in all the scaling protocols, all the scaling technologies. So what we have done really is we have borrowed some of the design patterns of state channels, unlike, for example, or minus the capital inefficiencies and requirement for liveness, while we're also using the pool security of Ethereum. So when it comes down to exiting the protocol, what you need is, or what we make use of today on Nahmi 1.0 as an oracle, to be able to determine if the operator has committed fraud or not. Now, when it comes down to Nahmi 2.0, which is the new version that we'll talk about in a second, we will of course be adopting any other mechanism on the base layer that can do the job better to determine if the operator has committed fraud. Now, when it comes down to protecting users against rogue operators, I guess that we'll soon be getting into a territory which is a bit cumbersome for rollups lovers. Now, when we talk about data availability, it's important to understand that there are two areas where data availability happens, which is on the layer 2 and on the base layer. Most of the rollups individuals tend to talk about rollup or data availability only the base layer. We'd like to talk as well about data availability on the second layer. Now, for us, it's virtually impossible to commit fraud at that level because of the fact that we don't have basically any latency. And we offer instant finality. It's virtually impossible to rearrange transactions. Right now, Nahmi 2.0, unlike Nahmi 1.0, is running on trusted mode. We have several ways to adopt different solutions that will allow us to run in trustless mode. And the question comes, why have we built Nahmi this way? So when you think about scaling a technology like blockchain, you need to understand who you want to do it for. And in our case, it's not only for crypto use cases, but it's mostly for commercial use cases. There are thousands of use cases out there that do require that the operator has got a specific amount of control. That control has to translate into providing compliance to the specific solutions you want to build. That is where, for example, you can apply with Nahmi KYC and AML. Yes, we have made a compromise, and the compromise we have made, and we're very transparent about it, is that we're not censorship resistant. The reason why we do that is because the moment you want to bring the big players onto the industry, those guys will need and will require to be able to control who can do what in their network. We don't see that as the end of the world. We see that as a necessity for those parties. We will, of course, be able to run Nahmi, our own nodes, the way we wish, and that should not necessarily mean to be able to censorship those transactions. Now, the other point where rollups fall very, very, very short is when it comes down to the total cost of ownership. Has been briefly mentioned, touched upon, but not dived into enough detail. Most of the rollups, if not all, are run absolutely at a loss, meaning that it costs them a fortune to keep them operational, and unfortunately they will not be cash flow anytime soon. This translates as well into the companies running products on top of rollups will be able or will be suffering from the same problems. So on one hand, you will have a company or an institution running a solution that most likely cannot pay for over time, and equally, the companies running the solutions on top of it will not know how much it's going to cost them to execute those products. So said differently, if you have 1 million users and you would like to provide service to them on top of a rollup, you really don't know how much it's going to cost you to offer that service. And that is a big no-no. Now, when we talk about the L2 conversations we have had and the different talks, which have been very good, most of them, by the way, what we believe is that we're taking a very incomplete set of data sets to discuss how you can scale Ethereum. basically everything is being talked about here is how can you scale Ethereum with rollups? But that is absolutely not the way to do it. So what we should be talking about here is how to scale Ethereum, period. Now, there are alternatives to rollups. There are technologies like Nahmi via state pools that offer instant finality, no latency. It offers predictable fees. And that is the way we should be thinking about. So the conclusion is that Nahmi is a layer 2. It's not a rollup, but it's a layer 2. There are other things apart from rollups that are layer 2s. We offer instant finality, no latency, predictable fees. We think that you don't need to do periodic commits back to the base layer all the time. If you want to build something for institutional adoption, you need to give them control. You need to give them the ability to build solutions as they wish. And basically, we offer all those properties today. So that was pretty much what we want to talk about in terms of Nahmi, rollups, and state pools. And if you guys have got any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Question time.
Hi. So the title of your presentation was included the words improving rollups. Was there a part about improving rollups that are there any properties in Nahmi that can be used to improve rollups?
Well, so there are definitely properties in Nahmi that already improve rollups. That is the whole point we wanted to get to. And the way to improve rollups is by not doing those periodic commits back to the base layer. So one of the things that we offer is that instant finality and no latency, plus the predictable fees. So our understanding, the way you should be improving rollups is by taking a full holistic approach towards the scaling, not focusing only on TPS, not only focusing on doing those periodic commits, but instead building products for the customers, right? So 99% of the talks here are about what rollups can be in the future. That doesn't cut it. You ultimately need to build something that is available today for commercial adoption, right? So there are different ways in which way you could improve rollups. In one way would be to change the mentality, get a full set of data points that you need to improve. And second, we'll go by, for example, widening the set of use cases that could be used with rollups. Right now, rollups are good, and they are good for some use cases, but are not good for all the necessary use cases. So there is a lot to unpack in terms of the title, right? But what Nahmi offers, again, is we have removed those periodic commits. We can offer instant finality, no latency, predictable fees. And there is a way that definitely rollups can be improved.
Okay, so in terms of not requiring the commits to layer 1 and still being a layer 2, how is it different from a sidechain?
How is different? I mean, we're non-custodial. We use Ethereum for security. Bottom line, we consider ourselves a layer 2. So I suppose that you are speaking from the point of view that only rollups are layer 2.
No. Well, I'm speaking from a point of view that layer 2s are constructions that inherit security properties from layer 1. So how does not requiring committing to layer 1 enables you to do that?
Well, I mean, we do commit to layer 1 when you exit the protocol, right? So I suppose that if you want to define sidechain, layer 2, rollups, whatever, that is really a conversation about semantics.
Okay, so you're saying you have some additional assumptions. Some additional assumptions to security, in the network, right?
Well, I mean, the assumption is that you can only exit if you have the right receipt, if you have not committed fraud. If there is a bond that will be paid if you can prove that the operator has committed fraud. So there are several security measures that are put in place. Now, what you were talking about, though, is the semantics about what defines a layer 2 and not, which is more of a philosophical discussion than reality. So, but anyway, bottom line is that we're non-custodial, we're here. Nahmi is fixed. or has fixed many of the scaling issues of Ethereum, can be used. So yeah, that's the most important.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, so I was just wondering, like, what allows actually, first of all, what the definition of constant cost is. Is it that basically given a specific execution path of a smart contract, it will always cost this much? Or does any execution cost the same? And also, finally, how is it you're able to guarantee the costs remaining the same all throughout?
So a fixed cost means that the specific execution for part of a smart contract is always going to be the same. So if you want to send ETH or USDC from A to B, it's always going to be the same cost. If you want to do a swap, calling a specific function of a smart contract, is always going to be the same, 30 cents of a dollar. The way we can fix that, or the way we can guarantee that, is by fixing the number of dollars that you're going to spend for execution, right? So we'll have a variable price of the ETH, and then a fixed price of the execution, and then we'll be able to guarantee if it's 10 cents or 30 cents of a dollar. So that is the way we can do it.
Okay, if I may add one thing about the scaling and layer 2s being layer 2s, like I think from the definition, it's like layer 2 is as close to layer 1 security properties as possible, right? But there are like ton of valid scalability solutions that are not exactly like this, like, I don't know, layer 3s, they are called like Validium, ZK Porter, and so on. And I think it totally makes sense to talk about them, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, so I believe that we answer all the questions that one of your colleagues showed yesterday on the presentation about the, you know, what would make a layer 2, and we answered them back last year. You guys listed Nahmi for some time, and then after that it was removed. It was, I suppose, a misunderstanding of what Nahmi does and what it doesn't. But yeah, but back to your point, right? I think it's very important that we move away from this understanding, you know, scaling with rollups. I think that you know, I think it's very difficult to get a man to understand something when his very salary, you know, pays him for not understanding it, right? So, which is pretty much what your question was about. So, you know, scaling is a scaling, period. Are we safe? Yeah. I mean, we have managed plenty of money. Nobody has been racked yet. Hopefully, will never happen. We depend on Ethereum for security. Do you want to discuss semantics of sidechain, layer 2, layer 1, layer 3? I don't care. I'm an engineer. That is not what I do for a living. I fix problems. That's what we do. So that's the most important, undoubtedly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.